Just a few comments on the third attempt of a budget by the Minister of Finance. As expected, there was no VAT increase. Instead of a VAT increase, the Minister of Finance decided to increase the fuel levy, which will not be sufficient to fill that fiscal gap. Keep in mind that the VAT is also an indirect tax, it's also a regressive tax. So there's comments and arguments about the poor being taxed more. It's basically the same when you increase something like, for example, VAT. Some other taxes will also increase, like certain sin taxes, and of course the personal income taxes will also increase by way of so-called the bracket creep. But except for that, no other major tax increases. On the expenditure side, also no major changes there. We still get a significant and above inflation increase on a wage bill for the civil servants, and more or less a little bit above inflation increase on the various social grants. The Minister of Finance made it clear that the COVID grant will be phased out within 2 years. The debt trajectory has been adjusted once again, which means that debt will only stabilize, according to the Minister of Finance, in excess of 77% of GDP. Now, this has become, well, actually quite ridiculous, because every year the Minister of Finance says he will stabilize the debt to GDP ratio, but not yet. He will do it next year. Comes next year, he says, not yet, the next year. And we are heading for a financial crisis in South Africa if we do not do something about the fiscal debt trajectory. And there are two reasons why the fiscal debt trajectory has gotten out of hand. The first one, of course, is that the Minister of Finance is simply spending too much money. There's another real increase in state expenditure over the next 3 years, which means that this budget is an expansionary budget. This is not an austere budget. It is another expansionary budget which will boost economic activity in the short term, but in the longer term, we're heading for a fiscal debt trap. But the most important single reason why the economy is not, or why the Minister of Finance's debt is in trouble, and why the fiscal accounts are in trouble, is simply because the South African economy is not growing fast enough. The Minister of Finance did make an adjustment on his expectations as far as economic growth is concerned. He says now economic growth is likely to be about 1.4% this year. I think he's too optimistic. Economic growth is likely to be less than 1% this year. And that means that the minister's revenue will also come under some pressure. And the reason why the economy is not growing fast enough is mostly got to do with the wrong macroeconomic policies. So not much, no big changes to this budget. No surprises to this budget. The DA is supporting this budget, which also means that they're supporting all these various tax increases, all these various expenditure increases, and they're also supporting the increase in debt, which they make clear they will not support. Looking at this, well, I'm afraid nothing really new. If we don't make some significant changes, we are heading for some serious financial trouble.